Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Wall Street Rundown. My name is Billy Clement, your co-host, and I have Wale with me. What's going on, Wale?
Not much, man. How you doing? How you doing?
Dude, I'm good, man. This market has been crazy today. I decided to stay at the market today. Didn't even look at the charts, and I was like, usually on Fridays, it's crazy, man. I see a lot of people lose a lot of money on Fridays, right? Like you make money all week. Come Fridays, people lose all their gains. So it's like typically if I don't see a good directions in the market on Fridays, I just stay away from it, man. It's like I
Those
can't do
th
it.
those 0 days. That's why the 0 days,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's tempting, man. It's very, 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 very tempting. But yeah, I just be like, nope, I ain't doing it today.
Yeah, I caught a pretty nice move on CrowdStrike today. Caught puts.
Nice.
CrowdStrike was down like 8% today. I am mad that I sold a little bit too early, but
Yeah.
in this market, I would rather play it safe than sorry. So once I saw that drop, I sold a chunk right away. I think the last chunk I sold was off like 97%, but someone in my trading group almost got out of there with like 200 plus percent because it kept
That's what's up,
dropping.
man. That's what's up.
So, but we talked about this on our last discussion. We said
Yep.
once that 200-day EMA SMA gets broken,
Yep.
said it was only a matter of time.
Yep.
And we broke it yesterday, and today we saw more downside, but we did see a recovery. Jerome Powell did make some mention. This is I don't. Okay, how should I put it without getting angry? Jerome didn't say anything to me in my mind that convinced me that the selling is over.
Right.
Basically, what he said is at the Fed, we're worried about the long-term trend. Like we're not worried about what happens in the short term. If we start seeing that the long-term trend is going to be an issue, we'll intervene.
Right.
But we're focused on the long-term trend. We're focused on the last couple of months. Um, I guess he was a little bit calm. People were saying that he was calm, he wasn't panicking, and that might have been a good omen that everything's going to be okay.
No.
In my mind,
No.
this is the thing. Jerome is not going to tip his hand before a Fed meeting on the 19th. Like, let's be honest. He's not going to tip his hand. He's going to keep the same script till they have their meeting on the 18th, and then he has to
Yep.
deliver a message on the 19th.
Yep.
So he doesn't want to cause any additional panic. Now, the jobs number came in light again.
Hmm.
If you were watching futures originally popped on the news,
Right. Yeah, we sold though.
and then we sold off. So I'm not sure if you remember last year when the job numbers came in light, right?
Hmm.
The market was taking that as an omen that the Fed could be cutting if the
Yeah.
job numbers continue to be light.
Right.
But now we're getting light jobs data. To me, what that signals is the economy is shrinking, it's contracting. And that's not a good thing for stocks. And if you look at it from a macroeconomic standpoint, I mean, nothing tells me that this economy is expanding.
Nope.
No.
I mean, we definitely seeing some of the result of a lot of the different policies that's already taken impact. You know what I mean? It's only like the end of first quarter right now. So we're already
Mm-hmm.
seeing some of those impacts. And we talked about this too. It's like the first quarter is going to be a showdown. The second quarter is going to see the results, right? So right
Mm-hmm.
now we're seeing, but the problem also with that is, and I know we mentioned this, is we haven't really seen the effect of tariffs, the actual effect of tariffs on the economy.
Exactly.
We've seen the words and how we can move the market, but we haven't seen the actual effect on the market. Yeah, I mean on the tariffs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So are we really going to get a tariff implemented? And if we do, how is that going to impact the market? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's the question. Are we?
Yeah.
Are we? And
Are
if
we
you
even
look,
going to get it? Yeah.
and if you listen to some of these calls with these CEOs on their earnings, they have no idea how to prepare.
Nope.
They
Nope.
have no idea how to prepare. I will say this though, throughout all of the chaos and all of the nastiness we've seen this week, McDonald's hit an all-time high today.
McDonald's was the only, even on Monday when everything was dropping, McDonald's was the only beacon, just out here, don't care what y'all got going
Unbothered.
on.
Unbothered. And I've been looking at the stock. I saw it filled a gap, And I've been looking at the stock and I was just like, dang, McDonald's
Yep.
really is just in its own little
It is
world.
in his own zone. I don't know what's happening with that, but it is in his own freaking zone. The other thing that I was curious about is energy. If you see the energy today, energy was actually
Oh,
up today.
oh, I thought you were talking about this week. Today I saw it
No,
was up.
today, yeah,
Yes.
energy was actually up today. And I was like, whoa, what is happening there? Like, why is energy going up?
Yeah,
You know?
it hit a level 87, 85 where it got rejected. If it gets above that, maybe it
Right.
starts to push higher. But from what I'm seeing, energy's had a rough couple weeks
Mm-hmm.
as of lately. But that was one of the beacons that I did see in today's trading session
Yep.
today.
They were
So,
up like 1.71% today. Financials got a beating today. They're down 0.53% today. I mean, they got a
hmm
beating. Um,
and my
utilities were up to go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Utilities were up 1.86%. Technology surprisingly was up also. Real estate was modestly up. Materials was up. Healthcare was up like 0.1%. I think CES, their restructuring is doing a really good job. So it's probably pulling some of those market up and stuff. So Moderna is actually surprisingly was up again.
hmm
So yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at financials. Financials are not going to do so. Coming into this year, before we had all of the tariff hoopla, financials and software were two areas of the market that I was very, very high on.
Yeah. Yep.
And even when we started to get the tariff announcements that were impending down the road, those sectors still held up pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But now I want to let people know that the narrative has changed. It's no longer just about tariffs, it's about an economy that is slowing down.
Slowing down. Yep.
So that affects everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So financials in a slowing economy, people aren't borrowing money as much, people aren't expanding as much. That's not good for financials. It's not good. So as long as the market continues to possibly give signals that we're contracting, my bullish optimism on software and financials has to be on hold because I have to look at the bigger picture now.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
when
Right.
things start to maneuver in the right direction and change, those would be two areas that I would definitely want to take a look at. But right now, I mean, it's a real guessing game, and you don't know when tariffs are on, if they're off, what they're on, who's affected, how to plan for it. Like it's crazy. I ain't never seen nothing like this in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. It's like we don't have any plan. We have a plan. Oh, we don't have a plan. It's
hmm
like I
Yeah,
just
there's no order or structure.
no, and I think it's scaring a lot of people. And typically, what that happens, like you say, like business go into protection mode. Like
Yep.
let's cut everything off because we don't know what's happening. You know what I mean? Let's just cut everything off. And we talked about it on Wednesday. Like we see like companies are not hiring as much anymore.
No. Mm-mm.
People are staying out there a lot longer now to find a job. You have hundreds of people applying for one position. You know what I mean? So things have shifted a little bit. So we're definitely seeing a slight change in forecast when it comes to like, okay, what's going to happen in the next quarter and stuff. So yeah,
And one thing you did mention with the job front, we did see unemployment tick up by 0.1%. So we went from
mm-hmm.
4.0 to 4.1. Now that's a very small incremental uptick, but it is something because we kind of been hovering between 4.24, 4.24,
Yep,
like we've kind of been in that space, but we still haven't seen what the effect will be on the federal employees that have probably been laid off due to budget cuts and Doge and all of this stuff.
yep,
So, as you said, we're about to end first quarter at the end of this month. We'll then have an idea of what the data looks like. The one topic that I did not hear Jerome Powell talk about was no one asked him about what are your thoughts about the Atlanta Fed's negative GDP forecast.
yes, yes,
That
yes.
that's that completely. And
So
I'm not saying he would have answered it, but I didn't hear anything about that.
for those of you who don't know, the Atlanta Fed GDP tracker is pointing to negative 2.4% annualized growth rate for the first quarter.
hmm
I mean, when we started this year, they thought I think they were projecting like 3.9, almost 4%. You know what I mean? For that to like flip completely 100% to the other side, it's crazy. You know what I mean? So yeah, Jerome didn't really touch on that. I don't know if anybody asked him though. Did anybody ask him?
I didn't hear the question brought up, so that's one thing um, that I was actually surprised about. I know that this was more of a academic setting as
Mm-hmm.
far as who was asking him questions. It wasn't the presser, but I will hope that a reporter will ask that question on the 19th. I'll also give you another data point to monitor. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Y charts has data that will give you the spreads between USA AAA corporates and treasuries. And right now, those spreads are about 0.4%, which is still relatively good.
Hmm.
If those spreads start to tick up, again, I always tell people the bond market is a leading indicator. If those spreads start to tick up, where you see that bond investors want more compensation for, like, let's say, a 5 year corporate bond, high quality corporate bond, compared to a 5 year treasury, then that's when I would start to get worried. So for now, we're not there yet, but I will definitely be monitoring that on a week to week basis,
Yeah, yeah,
because that's an important data point to definitely take a look at to see what type of risk institutional investors are pricing in into the bond market. But right now, there hasn't been any big shifts there yet. So,
yep, yep, yep. The other thing, I don't think a lot of people are talking about this, but the Wall Street, I mean not Wall Street, Washington D.C. next week they got to discuss possible government shutdown. You know, I feel like we go through that every year. You know, funding the government, and then last minute they find out, oh, okay, we have enough money to fund the government. So, but with this administration, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to try to use this as a way to cut even more jobs, right? Federal jobs and
mm,
stuff. So I don't know. This one might also be a concern coming here next week. Like,
that
how's that going to impact the market?
that deadline is what, the 14th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's next week Friday. So that's definitely something to keep in mind too. And it's so funny how and I think the last time we actually had an actual shutdown was when Trump was in office, if
Yep.
I'm not mistaken.
Yep. And that one lasted. It lasted a while. I don't know if it lasted like a week or so, but it lasted for a little bit.
Yeah, I remember that because I was working for an RIA in Oakland, and I remember we had the shutdown, and I remember being on the phones all day with
Mhm.
clients who were panicking, like, what is going on? Should I take
Yep.
my money out? So I do remember that. So let me actually see if I can find the date. But yeah, I would actually put that as a top priority for next week
Yep.
because the Fed meeting is not till the week after. So
Yep.
I would actually put that as a top priority for
So
next week.
all of these events, right? It's like for me, it's like whenever you have all these events back to back to back like that, the market is gearing for a crazy move in one direction. You know what I mean? Whether it's up, whether it's down. I don't know what direction is gonna be. I kind of have an idea what direction is gonna be, but it's like usually when you have all this different calendar economic event going on the same time or on the same week on the last month of the quarter, yeah, there's going to be something big that comes up, and the market is either going to rally or we're going to like really crash and burn for a little bit.
And you're absolutely right. The last shutdown was on December 22nd, 2018
Yep.
till January 25th, 2019. So that was a 35-day partial shutdown. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It took a while. It took a while because I know
Ooh.
a lot of federal employees are like, "Oh, are we gonna get paid or what?" But yeah,
Let's go look at the chart and see what the market did during that shutdown. Let's go back. And can you believe that next week will be 5 years since COVID?
yeah, it's crazy, man.
Can you
It
believe
is
that?
crazy.
Yeah, I never
2018,
forget.
we had a modest growth in 2018. Like the market wasn't even. Let's see, what
Oh
do we?
yeah, the market took a huge dump.
Mm-hmm.
So it started on the so going into December, if we look at SPY, In 2018. That last, yeah, we consolidated. So December 11th all the way down to December
Yeah.
26th.
Overall, we closed that year in the negative.
Yeah, that was a
So,
nasty drop after the shutdown was announced. Now the market bounced before the shutdown ended.
mhm.
But yeah, going into that shutdown, we saw ooh, 8 straight days of negative returns.
Yep.
And that was again after we had breached the 200-day EMA and SMA because they were kind of trading in the same range. We saw a nasty drop. And if we're not mistaken, we saw something very similar this week, but now we've kind of recovered. At least SPY has recovered above that level.
Hmm.
QQQ, I do not think has, if I'm not mistaken. QQQ is above the EMA, but below the SMA. And then IWM is still in the dumps. It almost broke 200 today. Ooh.
Yeah. But if you look at it though, if you look, even if you look at the way we closed today on SPY,
Hmm.
I'm still in that camp. I'm not convinced that we are
No,
completely done. You
I'm not
know,
either. I'm not either.
yeah, we had that crazy week, man. So we might have a a rundown or something. I feel bad for IWM because I think we're still not done with it. I saw a lot of um flow that came in for like 195, 190. Like so I think we got some more. We got some way to go.
The one thing I did see today, though, was that there was some VIX call selling.
Mm,
And if I'm not mistaken, the only reason why there could have been that type of selling, I think, was mainly because those options expired today.
yeah,
So that might have been a catalyst of why they were getting out of that position. So I will be on the lookout to see if there are new buyers into the VIX because we hit a weekly high of what 25 something
yep.
on the VIX today. Because the VIX, man, yeah, the VIX, no,
We
26.56. We
hit
hit it.
26 and then we came back down. Yeah.
And if we're not, I mean, this is another reason why I'm not convinced. We bounced off of the lower portion of a 4 hour fair value gap on the VIX
Mhm.
and we bounced. So if we get back above 2380, I mean, to me, it's going to be the same story again. It's going to be the same story again. And we kind of saw the same thing happen last week, Friday. I got faked out thinking that that rally last week, Friday, was going to lead into something substantial.
Right, 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 right.
Next thing you know, we right back in a dumpster. So from a
Mhm.
technical standpoint, I will continue to reiterate that the higher time frame will usually tell you what the larger trend is, and we are on our third week of lower highs and lower lows,
Mhm.
and that is usually not a signal that a reversal is in place. It's just not.
Not yet.
And I know
Not
everybody
absolutely
wants to
not.
be like, I want to time the bottom and buy the bottom. I mean, again, markets can be oversold longer than you can be solvent.
I mean, that's a fact. Like you keep buying those dip and it just like it's gonna keep dipping more and more and more. Like honestly, I would not be surprised if you close this year in the red, right? Because it's like if you look at the yearly chart, we have failed two up. I mean, yeah.
Yes.
I would not be surprised if you close this year in the red.
Yeah, a failed two up.
And all of
Yeah.
them, even QQQ, same thing. Yeah. I mean, ES is double inside month. I mean, double inside. No, that's not it. Hold on. That's the wrong ES. Yeah, ES a failed two up on the year. NQ is a failed two up on the year. So it's like, I mean, NQ is an inside on the year. But we have all this failures, overall. We're not really
Hmm.
going anywhere.
Yeah, I've been saying I would not be. I'm looking at QQQ mostly. And I think I put this in the group. I said I would not be surprised if we started to trade near like the 460 area.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me. Um, and our friend Jerome could take us there.
I am betting on
I
that.
mean, he can do it.
I am
because
betting on that.
the Fed's not going to cut, right? We
Right.
all know that they have no incentive to cut rates, and basically, again, like I said, if we see that everybody is on board that we could see negative first quarter GDP,
Hmm.
that will be a nasty, disgusting sell off. And I think I talked about this last time. We get our first read on April 30th, which is probably about a month and a half.
Yep.
Mark your calendar and see what that number looks like. So I'm not going to sit here and pass any judgments. Um, if you're a stock buyer, again, if you see names that you like, don't put your whole position in there now. You
Hmm.
might want. I would say you just want to start to
Yep. Yep.
nibble little by little,
Yep.
because if it keeps dipping, you're not going to be happy. So,
Now let me ask you this: in terms of 401k, like,
mhm,
is this considered a good time? Because I know we talked about this, like, increasing your contribution, maybe like, slightly every year,
mhm.
or maybe like readjusting your portfolio, maybe like moving some stuff around. Is this considered a good time to like do certain things like that where maybe you're only contributing 6%, maybe it's time to go to 7 or 8% because the market is dipping and you can buy things for cheaper, you know what
So
I mean? So
so I like that. So if you are invested in a 401k or an IRA where you're making regular systemic contributions, that would be something I would look at. And maybe you can't go a whole full percent. Sometimes you can increase it based on dollar value. So let's just say I'm putting away $100 every paycheck into my 401k. Me, what I would probably do, I'd probably try to get that to 150 or maybe even 125 if I can. If my financial situation allows me to make that increase, now would be the time. The reason why I say that is because you're making systemic contributions. Like it's either going in every 2 weeks or every month. Like you're not trying to time the bottom. So if you buy a dip one Friday, let's say you get paid on every other Friday, and then the market drops again, you're going to buy 2 weeks after that. If the market drops again, you're going to buy 2 weeks after that. So if you're in a systemic investment plan where money is going in on a consistent basis and you're not really trying to time the market, it just does what it does. Oh yeah, I'd definitely be doing that. I would definitely be doing, because when COVID started, a lot of people, I advised a lot of people, I said, now is the time to possibly increase your contributions. And then when things turn around, you're going to be very happy and you're going to be in better shape. I did that and I beat the market that year by a wide margin. And again, I highly feel that if you have the capacity to do it,
mhm.
your future self in the next 2 or 3 years will thank you and say, I'm glad that you did that. So, and if you look at if you're in a 401k, if you look at one asset class on a global market that's performing pretty well, it's international.
Mhm.
International. I know that you caught a nice move on the China stocks. Some of these
Yep.
China stocks have been holding. I mean, they're very risky because a lot of time they gap up and gap down,
Very risky.
but
Very risky.
there's a lot of good moves that have been happening over the pond in Europe. So if you're in a
Hmm.
401k or something in that, you might want to make sure that you're diversified and make sure that you have some exposure to some of the European international stocks. They haven't done well over compared to the U.S. over the last 10 or 5 years, but these are the type of years where they can be a nice buffer against risk. So,
Right, right. Absolutely. I got another question from somebody that was asking, like, so currently they have a 401k with, like, let's say Fidelity, right? And
hmm
they have access to, like, mixed basket of ETFs that they can kind of invest in.
hmm
Now their company went public and they're offering, I think they call it ESP,
Oh,
where you can,
ESOP, it's play
ESOP,
stock
yep,
option plan. Yep.
where you can
hmm
actually buy it at a discount price or whatever it is. So they were wondering, should they, because as soon as you move to the ESOP, I don't think you can go back to buying like ETFs and stuff, right? I don't know. I don't think you can go back there. I think for them it's like once you switch over to the employee purchases plan, there's no way for you to go back to the regular what they're doing right now. So they were like, should I do that or should I stay with what I have right now currently?
So let me give you a breakdown of different types of employee stock option um, investments. So I have been at companies where you could only buy employee stock in the 401k. So
Mm,
basically, they'll say, if you want to buy employee stock, we have a fund that tracks the stock of the company and you can
yep.
invest in that fund.
Yep.
So that's through the employer 401k. That's not an ESOP.
Mm-hmm.
The um the other type that you can see is you can take a portion of your payroll and invest it in a non-retirement account where you can have access to company stock at like a 15% discount.
Yep.
So that's a little bit different. So, and I know you can do both because I have a good friend that works at Visa and she's doing her contributions into the employee stock program where she buys Visa stock for a 15% discount.
Mm-hmm.
That I would do if you believe in the
The
business and the company.
yep.
Because here's the thing, you're buying at a 15% discount. The only way you break even if the stock loses 15%. The moment you buy it, you're technically up 15%, but you can't sell it right away. There's a vesting
Right.
schedule. You have to
Right.
hold the stock for a certain amount of time before you
Yep.
can sell it. So
Yep.
that's a pretty good deal. So if you work for like a Nvidia or for like a Apple or a Facebook or Google or Visa, good reputable business companies, and they offer that, I would definitely do it. There's
Right.
incentive, right? So now in your 401k plan, I would diversify more. I would not have all of my eggs in employee stock
And
in my
exactly.
401k plan because what you're betting on is you're betting on your company to take you through retirement. You want to be a little bit more diversified in that aspect.
Yeah.
But if you want to buy, like I said, I think most of the time you can allocate, I think they give you a max. I think the most you can buy in any given year or quarter is maybe like 10 grand a year, something like that. I forget the rules. But if you work for a good company, good public company that allows you to buy the stock at a 50% discount, I would take advantage of that. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
wish I wish I could buy SPY at a
Out of 50, fifteen
at a
percent discount.
15% discount.
Oh man. But yeah, so they were just wondering, like, is that a good plan or not? I guess for me,
Yeah.
I give them some same things. Like, if you believe in that company, then I will say, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
But if you hesitate about it, maybe do some more research. And it's a company you work for too. So it's like I guess the other part of um that is if you buy it at 15% discount and it dips below that 15% discount, then you kind of losing money, right? So it's like you
That's
still
when you
got
start losing money. Yep.
yeah, you
That's
still
when you
gotta think
start
about
losing
the
money.
other side too, because like
Yeah.
it might be up like $40. You buy it for like let's say $35, but you
Hmm.
still if it dips below $35 or below $30, it's just like now losing money and stuff. But if you believe
Yeah.
in the stock, I mean,
Yeah.
might as well buy some more.
Yeah. Because you could be working at a good reputable company that falls on hard times. Like let's just say you work for Intel, or
Yeah,
let's just say you work for Nike.
yeah, yeah,
Those things can happen. Those things can
yep,
happen. So um, my thing is this. To me, especially if you've been there a long time, it's a buy and hold strategy. You're a long-term investor. To me, it makes sense because again, until the stock drops 15%, you're in the positive.
yeah,
Once the stock drops 16%, you're at -1. That's a pretty substantial drop. I'm not saying it can't happen. I mean, look at Target, look at Nike, look at Intel. It can
yep,
happen. And at
yep.
that point, you know, if you want to buy more, you can continue to buy more as long as you believe in the trajectory that the company will
The
figure it out
company,
and
yep,
start to make moves.
yep.
So,
And especially if you're planning on working for that company for a long time. I mean,
mhm.
now I have seen companies that people put all their money in there, and then the company goes bankrupt or they shut down, or and now you are one of the last people to get paid because they got to pay all their big shareholders and debt holders and all that stuff first, you know.
Yeah,
So
debt holders get paid first.
yeah, so you're not even on the top of the books to be thought about. You're probably gonna get all the leftover stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, got to keep that in mind. Speaking of people getting bought out, Walgreens going private.
I see. I think it's a good plan for them. I really, really, really think it's good for them. They need to do that. They need to do that. I feel like that will help them restructure and do more stuff. And I think CVS needs to do the same thing, honestly. I think
Mm.
CVS has been known, like I think CVS kind of figure their issues and they're kind of like breaking down the business and stuff. But yeah,
I thought about it. I don't know if it was ever going to happen, but I was like, could Intel do that too?
that's another one.
I think Intel might be too big. Might be too big.
They got to pay a lot of people off.
Yeah, might be too big. But yeah, Walgreens is going private, and we'll see if they come back as a public company because that
Yeah.
happens from time to time. People go private, restructure, then
Hmm.
they want to raise money again, and they come back to the public market. I think Nordstrom's has probably done it one or two times, if I'm not mistaken, in their lifetime. So, um,
Dunkin' Donuts never came back. Stayed private. I think they went private in 2020. I think it was 2020, 21. They're like, yep, forget this. We're going back private. And they never came back. They're like, yeah,
yeah. So, going public. People always say, "Well, why do companies go public?" They use it to raise money.
you need money.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
need it to raise money.
Yep.
So they're trading ownership in the company for cash today.
Hmm. Pretty
So,
much.
it's just a bigger version of Shark Tank. Yeah, so we'll see what happens to Walgreens, man. I hope they don't shut down a location by my house because I need them.
I
I
don't know
mean,
if they're gonna shut down, man. I don't know.
I'm not talking about shut down, but I wonder if they're going to start contracting locations.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when they do this whole restructuring and saying, okay, this store's got to go, this store's got to go, this store's got to go. So,
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to revisit, because I know we talked about it a little bit, is the acquisitions of companies. I think we're too optimistic when we said it's going to happen a lot because now it's like, is this even going to happen, right? Because with all of these tariffs and all this uncertainties, I don't know if any company want to do and go and acquire another company right now. You know,
mm,
do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like now that it's like all of that stuff is happening, every company's trying to keep the cash in house. They're not really trying to think about buying other companies right now. So is that putting a dent into those companies that might potentially want to kind of combine or buy other companies? Is that kind of put a dent in that plan if a company had a plan like that?
I will say that, yeah, they are trying to, you have to, like, I wouldn't say abort mission, but you got to rethink what you're doing moving forward
Yeah.
because yes, the Trump company or the Trump administration is probably going to be a little bit more favorable to mergers and acquisitions. But if you don't know what your future looks like, or if you don't know what your cash flow looks like, and you can't plan for that,
Mm-hmm.
now, unless you got the cash on hand and it's a small portion or a small company, then that would make some sense. But with a lot of uncertainty, if I'm a CFO, this is hell for me. Like, I
Yeah.
can't make forecasts. Like, I can't make forecasts. How do I build a future financial model of what to expect over the next couple of quarters or the next couple of years if I don't know how tariffs are going to affect my business
Yeah.
or if we're going to even have tariffs? Like, so yeah, that's a very good point. Until we get all of this like either settled or squared away, I really don't see any merger and acquisition activity, to be honest with you. And the
Yeah.
scary thing is, even if we get it settled and squared away, you might wake up one day and it might be back on. So
Man, like I said,
that's
I think we are gonna get tariffs. I think we are gonna. I just don't think it's gonna be as high as we think it is.
mhm.
You know
And
what
we
I
don't know
mean?
how long they're gonna last.
We don't know. We don't know. So right now I feel like it's just like a fear tactics. The one thing that I noticed is imports are going up, and you can kind of tell why, right? Because it's like people are trying to get all the product they can get ahead of time before the tariffs takes place. So you can see you see a tick in imports. Now they might say, "Oh, economy's doing good because we're importing a lot of." Sounds like, but no, you're doing a lot of imports in such a short time, and you have the
Hmm.
spike, and it's out of fear because people feel like companies feel like. they have to get all the inventories they can get right now before tariffs takes effect. Because if tariffs when tariffs takes effect, they have to pay a lot higher, right?
And
So
I
it's like
wonder,
we getting all
go
this
ahead.
weird numbers, man. It's like this is most of those numbers are out of fear. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
And I wonder if that's going to affect retail companies because let's just say that they
Yes, over
let's just say
purchase.
over purchase. And then all of a sudden they got all this inventory and then they can't get rid of it.
Yep, and they have to mark them
Then
down
I got
and
to
all
mark
this
them
stuff.
down.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. That's
So
not a good thing. And the thing that I don't understand is everybody's talking about they want things to be produced in the US. I understand that. I get the mantra behind that, but you also have to understand that when labor is cheaper outside the country, that helps the consumer here pay a lower price.
yep.
Like again, if iPhones were produced in the US, like you're probably paying two,
What
maybe
if
even three
three
times what
times?
you're paying for a phone.
Absolutely, absolutely. You'll pay a lot more.
So what they're saying is, well, if we do production in the US, we're going to have more jobs and wages are going to go up and all that stuff. That's not necessarily true.
No, no, no.
Like that's not necessarily true.
Yep.
So I don't know. I just
Employees are expensive in America.
that's a lot of
Employees,
companies' biggest cost.
yeah, labor is very expensive in America. They based on our labor laws and all those different things. That's why when China opened up and companies were able to what's the word they were using? Dang it. When companies were able to move their production to China, a
Hmm.
lot of companies did it. Like I remember I was in school in Indiana, like one of the biggest manufacturer for RVs. They just moved all their manufacture to China. Like a whole city just disappeared because their biggest manufacturer disappeared. You know what I mean? And they just went to China. Business owners are happy because hey, I can pay 25 to 50% less than what I'm spending in Indiana and get it for cheaper in China.
Hmm.
And even with me exporting the stuff back to the country, I'm still coming up on top. So I, we have seen this play over and over, right? Whenever a price or whenever an employer start getting paid more, guess what happens? Products goes up, so you don't feel like you're making any more money because it's like you get paid more, prices go up.
And you
You
know
go to
what?
the grocery store, you don't feel that raise in your pocket. It's like
And you know what they call that? They call that wage inflation.
wage inflation. There you go.
So again, and let's just be 100% honest. Let's be 100% honest. If you look at the inflation rate of wages compared to everything else, hasn't kept up.
Mm-hmm.
Has not kept up at all. Listening to somebody on Instagram today and was talking about back in 1999, the median income in Philadelphia was $40,000 for a family.
Mm-hmm.
The median house price was 80,000. Rates were about 7%. Down payments were about 2,400. Mortgages were about 750 a month.
Look at that.
Now they say the median home price in Philadelphia is 250,000,
Yep.
but the median wage is 60,000.
Yep. Hasn't kept with it. It hasn't
Hasn't
kept
kept
up.
up, has not
Mm-mm.
kept up.
Mm.
So like I said, I just I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what has I can't there has to be some sort of like study that looks at why wages haven't kept up with inflation of goods and services. But I know there's a
I can tell you why. I don't think they need to do a study on that. The problem is when you give business incentives, like we talk about it, right? It's like when business can see that you are able to afford the things you can afford on your current salary and you don't complain about it and you still show up, even if you complain about it, you still show up to the store and buy the products. Why the hell would they change anything? You know what I mean? That you're gonna complain, but you're still gonna spend this money. You still gotta
That's
come to
true.
because you still need that egg, you still need that water, you still need all that stuff. You can complain all you want. You can complain your way into our store and out of the store. We get your money. We don't care.
Yeah.
You
And I
know,
know, and I know printing money all of these years doesn't help.
it
I
doesn't
know
help.
that doesn't help
Nope.
the cause.
Nope.
And we have been running. I mean, if we're not mistaken, we said what I said what 99, right?
Yep.
Wasn't that the last time we had a balanced budget?
Yep. Yep.
Wasn't that the last time we had and ever since then we've been the money printer been we've been nonstop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really feel that might actually be the last time that the US government actually passed a real like budget. Like because if you look at what has happened, like the debt ceiling continues to go up. We continue to print money. Um, we have been running a GDP deficit for what, 20 years, 25
Mm-hmm.
years now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just disgusting. And yeah, that's not a formula for success, if I'm not mistaken.
Nope.
That's not a formula for success. And and I kind of hear the whole dose thing, like that's what they're trying to kind of get back to. I honestly don't know if it's
Yeah.
realistic because,
If
like
you
I
if
said,
you
there's no
if you
structure behind it.
if you go to I don't know if you guys ever seen like the US debt clock. If you go to US debt clock or you can see the national debt, how much debt is per so the national debt stands at like $36 trillion right now, right?
Lord have
And it's
mercy.
and it said debt per citizen average is $107,000 per citizen. And that's not covering children too. So we're not talking about taxpayers, we're talking about just citizen, period. Debt per taxpayer is average $323,000. That's crazy. Now they did add the Doge clock on here for some reason. I was like, whatever. They are, I guess, they have saved over $174 billion. That's what the Doge clock is, which is average about $1,500 per taxpayer, basically. But even if you add that up, it doesn't really cover the debt per citizen. Like, you know what I mean? Or the debt per taxpayer. Like, it doesn't cover that. So yeah, it's crazy.
Wonder how they calculating this Doge clock.
I don't know, man. People getting fired, agency being shut down. That's probably how they calculate it.
Man, $36 trillion.
I mean, that's a staggering amount, man.
Let's go back to 2000. Let's see what it looked like. Man, it was only U.S. national debt was only 5 trillion.
Yeah,
Only 5 trillion.
that's crazy.
Wow. Wow.
That
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I am and the crazy thing is 5 years ago we were at 25 trillion. So to add another almost $11 trillion in national debt in
Yep.
5 years,
Yep.
whew, if all these credit counselors and credit repair people go talk to the government, man.
They need to hire everybody. They need to hire all of them
Go,
IG
go
credit
talk to the
card credit
government,
people.
man, and go help them out because they the ones that need the help.
I'm telling you, man.
Oh man, yeah, this is awful. This is
Hmm.
awful. This is really, really, really bad.
Yeah. Because I remember seeing this when people was like, oh, we had $2 trillion in debt, and that was back in like early 2000. Like people were like, oh my god, that's a lot of money, man. We didn't see nothing.
Yeah, 36 is diabolical.
It's just crazy, and it keeps going up. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
well, we'll see. Speaking of the U.S., very, very disappointing news for crypto people about the U.S. Strategic Crypto Reserve. But
what did I say?
my man Billy has to be the feds because he called it He
Bro,
called it
I didn't,
spot on
and
Wednesday.
I didn't even know they were gonna come out with that news. Like I was just like, nah,
When I
this
talk
has to be the
about
plan.
when I talk about a spot on prediction, y'all can go back to look at our recording from last Wednesday. And when I was
Yes.
asking Billy, I was like, where are we going to get the money for the strategic reserve? He was like, I know where it's going to come from. It's going to come from C's crypto. And boom,
Yes. Yes. I mean, because
man.
they have tons of money just sitting around. Like, you know what I mean? Like any sane government be like, hey man, why give it back to the criminals? We gonna take this shit and keep it our own, you know? So
And you
why
know,
not?
and the reason why I had always been skeptical about it. So I've actually managed money for government entities. In California,
Mm-hmm.
there is a very strict policy about what you can invest taxpayer money in.
Mm.
Like you can't even invest in the stock market with
Oh
taxpayer
wow.
money in California. You cannot. You can only
Interesting.
invest in high quality fixed income. So treasuries, mortgage backs, corporates, like only high, and there's very strict rules around where you can use money that's come from taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Golden Gate Bridge was a client I worked with. So a lot of their revenue comes from tolls, right? You can't go take people toll money, the revenue from the toll money, and go invest it in the stock market. You know, you cannot. So to
Mm.
me, if you can't do that at the city level, why would you be able to do that at the federal level?
I mean, you're not technically using anybody's tax money.
But I'm saying people were thinking that the US was going to take money that they
Oh
have and put
no,
it into because
no.
people thought that if the US was buying crypto, because Michael Saylor was saying the same thing. He was like, the US should be buying crypto, like we should have a
Yep.
crypto reserve. Listen, they don't even you can't even put social
Mm-mm.
security in the equity market.
Nope.
If you look at the social security fund, it is all fixed income.
Nope.
So you
Yep.
want to tell me that the government is going to skip equities
It's
and
straight into crypto.
go into crypto? Heck no.
No, no,
Heck no.
no, no. But the other thing is, this opened the door now for the feds, and I mark
Oh,
my word, this opened the door for feds to go after everybody.
yep.
You
There's more
telling
incentive
me,
now. There's
yeah,
more
you
incentive.
telling me we can go and seize money from criminals? It's not even they're not talking cash. They're talking about like we can go now and go into those wallets that we everybody who's suspected criminal. Let me just put it out there. Anybody who's suspected criminals who has a crypto wallet, guess what? The government's coming for your wallet. So
all them people,
get your act
all,
together.
all
You
them
better,
people who ran those NFT scams and the money
yes,
launderers.
they're coming for it. They are coming for it. So unless if you have a cold wallet that is not online, your ass about to wake up one day and be $0 in your account. Like,
So let me put this out there. This is one thing that I could actually possibly see happening.
mm,
If the US builds a big enough strategic reserve, do they now get to a point where they maybe start issuing debt against the reserve?
yeah, yeah,
Because Trump was talking about don't sell your crypto, but let's say you've got a reserve now. Do you start issuing debt based on that reserve? I could see that happening.
mm-hmm,
I wonder if that's something that they're thinking about.
yeah. I would not be surprised. Anything you can think about right now is possible. Because, like
Hmm.
I said, this just opened doors for so many other things, like so many other things. You know what I mean? So I would not be surprised if that's what the plan is. So yeah, it's coming, it's coming. So as I said, if you're a criminal out there with a
Yeah, there's incentive now to build
yeah,
to build the reserve.
they're coming after you and everything you have. Like they're gonna take it because now they can keep it. They don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to get it back to the right wallet and all that stuff. Like, no, you lost it. Keep us at founders. We found it. So
Yeah, but I saw a lot of people were thinking that the US was going to start buying crypto. When I started seeing that, I was just like, there's just no way.
Yeah,
There's no way. There's no way.
yeah.
With taxpayer money? No.
Mm-mm.
That's
Especially
why
with it,
that's why if you look at the announcement, they made it a real big emphasis that it's not costing
it's
taxpayers
not
any
cost.
money. They
Yep,
made they made sure to point that out and to make sure you knew that.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. But I think that's the world we're in right now. It's like, how can we accumulate as many bitcoins as we can, right? And be able to be like one of the biggest Bitcoin owners and holders and stuff. Like once the government gets involved in it, like, because the whole strategic point of Bitcoin was not supposed to be like government involved, right?
No.
It's supposed to be peer to peer. We the
Hmm.
people keep track of all this different who ledger is where. Like, you can't cheat the system because the system will know in every single computer there's a ledger kept there, right? So if you shut down one computer, another computer has the ledger already. So you can't really possibly shut everything down,
Hmm.
right? So now that we are bringing the government in, I mean, yes, it's still kind of hard to break in, right? Like the overall algorithm of the crypto market is very, especially Bitcoin, is very hard to break into it. Like it's very, very, very hard. But with the advancement of quantum computing, I'm telling you, the hacking that's going to be happening in the Bitcoin world is going to be ridiculous. You know what I mean? Because combine AI with quantum computing, develop a key that be able to break into any of those algorithms, any of this encryption. Yeah, somebody just walk into the bank and rob the shit out of it.
Or turn the lights
Man,
off.
like literally, like, if you can build a key that's powerful enough to be able to decrypt any algorithm out there, guess what, man? Not even Bitcoin can stand a chance. So
That would be crazy.
yeah,
That would be crazy.
that would
And
be
if that
nuts.
if that gets into the hands of somebody like China,
We're doomed. We are doomed. They'll just be like, come here and collect everybody. Oh man, but yeah, man, we got 4 minutes left. Any advice going into next week? I know we talked a lot about different things for next week, but any advice coming on to next week?
man, next week I will say this. It's you have to be these are the times when you just have to be patient. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to be patient. If you're not an experienced trader, this is an environment where you can get chopped up. Like you can get absolutely chopped up.
Yep.
Like I got chopped up last week Monday because I went in with an original plan, changed my plan last minute, got chopped up.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I wouldn't say I got chopped up, but I lost. I went from like a 50% gain to like an 8% gain. Fortunately, I had a stop loss.
Yep.
If you're trading without a stop loss in this environment, it's
It's it's
suicide.
it's
It's
it's rough.
portfolio suicide.
Yep.
Have a stop loss.
Yep.
Another thing, don't enter your entire position all in at once because things can move and switch at the stop of a dime. Look how
Yep.
quick look how the market reversed today.
Yeah. Yeah. We were going down.
We were headed to you know where.
Yep. And
And the
then
moment Powell started talking and everything just kind of flipped towards the end.
yeah, we just reversed right back up.
So I will also emphasize in this environment, headlines, technical analysis.
Uh,
Headlines do not care about your
yeah.
technical analysis, your
Nope.
setups,
Nope.
they don't give a you know what.
Mhm.
The headlines are what are driving today's market. Technicals can work for a short period of time, but once those headlines kick in, and sometimes you don't know when those headlines are going to kick
Right.
in,
Right.
it can be a real dangerous trading environment. So wait it out, be patient if you're a trader. If you're an investor, this is the time when you need to, again, I keep saying this is the time when you need to start making your shopping list. You
Yep.
know, make shopping list of good companies, make shopping list of good sectors that, again, they may not pay off in the next 4 months, 6 months, 5 months, 10 months. But when you start looking 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road,
You'll be in a good position. Yeah.
you'll be in a good position. Again, I
Mm-hmm.
go back to the example of people who invested in the um, COVID market when the market got absolutely destroyed. 5 years from now, we're not in a bad place. And if you don't know what stocks to buy and you don't know what individual positions to buy, you don't want that type of risk, buy QQQ or SPY.
There you go.
That's just this. You may not get the sexy returns. It's a good place to make
But you won't,
decent.
yeah, you won't lose. You won't lose if you just start throwing money left and right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
My mantra when you look at the market, yes, we have bad times, but when in doubt, zoom out.
zoom out.
Zoom out.
Look at the
Look at the
bigger time
big
frame.
look at the bigger picture, look at the big time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're gonna to me we're not out the woods by any means, just by my personal opinion. We still got some major hurdles to hit. Again, government shutdown on the 14th is a big one. Forgot about that. So thanks for mentioning that. And then the
Yep.
19th Fed meeting.
Yep.
So
Yeah. With that being said, hey, like Glorilla said, at the end of the day gotta end. Make sure you invest today. Invest today.
and
Invest today.
if I'm not mistaken, oh, CPI next week.
Yeah. Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like all this economic thing just hitting all the same time.
Oh, I
Like
forgot. CPI next week on the 13th, right before the shutdown, possibly.
it's going to be nuts. Like, we got next week shutdown, CPI, the following week, Jerome in the house. And then the following week we have Jerome in the house and quad witching, like
Oh
the
yeah.
third week of the, the last quarter where all the contract expired at the same time. So the volatility is gonna be insane. Right? Just keep that in the back of your mind.
Anybody
Yeah.
wants to join me on Sunday for a portfolio prayer circle, let me know. We all join hands and pray that we make it through the volatility.
Seeing kumbaya.
Yeah. And to me, like I said, as long as the VIX is trading where it's trading, we're not out the woods.
Nope, nope. I
So
mean, we've been
we
saying that since the VIX was up like 15, like, so yeah.
and we're in what, 23 now?
Yep.
And we hit 25 or
Mhm.
26?
We hit 26 today.
26. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're not out the woods. We are not out the woods.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah. All right, y'all. Be careful next week. And like I always say, man, don't blow your port. Do not blow your port. Take it
do
one step at a time. And while I said, make sure you set up a trailing stop or some type of stop.
some type of stop on
You
your
know,
trades. You have to. You have
yeah,
to.
yeah. All right, y'all. Well, you guys
All right,
have a good
everyone.
weekend. Stay
Have a good
safe.
weekend.
Yes, sir.